Welcome or welcome back to Both Sides of the Barricade. I'm very excited to introduce our guest this week, Allie X. She is a singer-songwriter and visual artist. She just released her song Glam last week, and her album Cape God, which came out last year, was one of my favorite releases of the year. So I'm very excited to meet her, and thank you so much for being on, Allie.
Thank you for that very nice introduction.
Of course. I'm so excited. I've been listening to you literally. I'm a senior in college. I've been listening to you since I was like a sophomore in high school. So this is
Since I
really
was born, I've been around.
yes, I've been a fan since the womb.
Oh, that's so nice of you. Thank you.
Yes, of course. So, I we have never met in person. This is our first time meeting, but I have seen you before in concert. I saw you at Lollapalooza in 2018, and that was
Oh,
really
cool.
exciting. That was right after Super Sunset, so that was really cool to
Yeah.
see. This episode is actually made possible by Left of Center Productions, so thank you, Linda, there for making this possible. I'm very excited to talk to Allie today and interview her about her music because I'm obviously a fan, as you can tell. So I guess we'll start out. I like to talk about the artist's relationship with their fans. So if you'd like to talk a little bit about your fan base or how you interact with them, especially now that we're in quarantine, it's kind of hard.
Yeah, when I started making music, I did not have fans for a long time. Before Allie X ever, was a thing. I was trying to find my sound for a while, and I used to do a lot of just live gigs in Toronto, thinking I'd get like discovered, which
Yeah.
I learned is not how it works anymore. But so for a long time I didn't have fans. I just had great friends that were musicians that would come to my shows. And so when I played my first show, which was actually a year after Catch even came out, it was such a strange thing for me to have fans in front of me in the audience singing the words to my songs. Like, I guess I should have expected that, but I didn't. And I just felt so like, wow, so this is what it's like. My relationship with my fans is so important to me. I know that's like what literally every celebrity says, but what you realize when you've been in the entertainment industry for some time is that you're surrounded by a lot of bullshit, and the people that buy your records and buy tickets to see you and send you messages of support, and like that stuff's all great in sustaining me as a business, but then just they listen to me. Like, I
Yeah.
have the privilege of being heard by some people, and those people are my fans. And I know I'm just rambling here, but it's very significant, and it is the thing that keeps me going now. And it's evolved from that first show that I did where I was like, wow, cool, I have fans, to this point where I'm like I literally think of them as completely integral to the project. I no longer care to work with so many people on the executive side of the industry. Everything that I do is with the knowledge that I have fans who believe in what I make. So big answer, but
Yes.
that's just what came to mind when you asked that as the first question.
Yes. I really appreciate that. Was such a thoughtful answer, probably like one of the best I've had. So I really
Oh,
appreciate
good.
that. Yeah, it's very true. I think I love listening to artists and supporting artists who care so deeply about their fans. So that's really like special to hear an artist put it in that way. So I think all fans relate to that and feeling supported right back by the artist. So that's really
Yeah.
special.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
Yes, I agree. So yeah, now I'd just like to talk a little bit about your relationship with music growing up, kind of like the music you listened to growing up, and then kind of what you gravitated towards once you started getting into, making music or just, growing up and developing your own taste.
Being a singer and getting to sing was more important to me as a kid than the actual I did love music, definitely, but it was the expression side of it and the fantasy and the escape, I think, that really drew me into this as a profession. I was like a melancholic kid, and I always related to, like, I don't know, like The Little Mermaid. Even before the Disney movie came out, I used to read like the fairy tale, which is actually like super tragic. But
Yeah.
I just related to like this girl with this pain that had a voice, and like there's all just something always in me that that liked that. And so, yeah, I always knew that I wanted to sing because I guess it's just always been my way of expressing myself. Growing up, I listened to, yeah, I listened to like a lot of Disney movies as a kid. And um, I loved like pop music. I mean, I was, when I discovered Mariah Carey, my life was like forever changed. That's kind of how I learned how to sing, was imitating her and Celine Dion and Whitney Houston. Um, Not that I ever got as good as them, but you know, they definitely taught me how to do riffs and ad
Mhm.
libs and stuff just by
Oh
me
yeah.
copying. Um, and my parents used to play like Motown, and every Sunday my dad would play like psychedelic rock, and so like that's kind of all embedded in my childhood. But it really wasn't until, oh, and I was studying classical music and music theater for a while, so I was totally like a theater nerd, and I was aware of a lot of classical composers, both as a singer and as a pianist. So like Brahms, Bach, Schubert,
Mhm.
blah, 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 Mozart. But it wasn't until I graduated from college that I actually properly started listening to music, and not only listening to like the voice, which is embarrassing, but it's true. So that's when I started like listening to like um, free form like jazz and like uh, a lot of just like experimental stuff. And I started hearing drums and bass and a lot of like electronic music. A lot of, I became friends with people in the Toronto scene that were in the indie rock community. And so I just started becoming aware of a lot of like Canadian indie bands, Broken Social Scene, you know, like Feist.
Yeah.
And like my whole world was changed at that point because I'd been so like limited in what I'd been listening to, and yeah, a whole world of possibilities musically started to open up at that point. But I was a super late bloomer.
Yeah. And it's crazy because I feel like I can hear like all of the things you mentioned like influencing your music in some way. Like I feel like the Disney and the jazz, like all of that, like I can totally see that like creeping its way in, even subconsciously, like into your music. Um, do you have a favorite like Disney soundtrack? Like, do you think there's a specific movie that either influenced you or you think just has the best songs?
Well, I haven't been like following Disney movies for like the last 15 years, but definitely like growing up, I think my favorites were definitely Little Mermaid. Like just she was like just my soul sister. And then I feel like the Hercules soundtrack was
That's what I was
really
waiting to hear.
good.
That's the best one. I was waiting for you to hear to say that.
Yeah, I think like Ariana Grande like covered a song
Mhm.
from that. I mean they're all really good, but yeah, those two come to mind right away.
Yeah, I was hoping you would say Hercules because I am just like soundtrack.
Zero to hero in
Mhm.
no time flat. Zero to hero.
I love that one
Like
and
that.
Mulan. Mulan's great too, but
Oh yeah, Mulan is good.
so I was just wondering if you had a favorite. Um, so yeah, would you consider yourself a stan then now? Like, do you like, I mean, you mentioned Mariah Carey, but are you like a stan yourself? Because you definitely have a lot of stans, but would you?
I do not consider myself a stan, and though I love pop music, I don't actually listen to it that much anymore. What I listen to is like these days a lot of like goth and new wave.
Mm,
I think that's probably because it's no longer like it's so much a part of my job to make pop music and to know what's going on in the pop sphere as a writer, like if I'm trying to write for radio or for another artist or whatever. And it brings out this sort of analytic competitive side in me. So yeah, when I'm like just trying to feel good, like I'm listening to like Cocteau Twins or something.
Still classics. Like I went through a weird like new wave phase like in like a month or so ago, and I mean I grew up on it too, so I just like rediscovered it, and I'm like it's just so good. Like it's just a specific mood, but I totally get it. And
Yeah.
that's interesting that you say you like compare your music to or like kind of analyze what you're listening to if it's pop. I've never heard that, but I can definitely understand that. I feel like I would be very
Try writing pop music for a living, then you'll then you'll see.
I was gonna say, I feel like I'm definitely, at least because I do like painting and drawing. I definitely compare myself to that, like to other artists. I'm like, oh,
Yeah, whereas if I'm doing painting or drawing, there's no pressure
yeah,
whatsoever and it's purely enjoyment.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I can definitely understand that. So yeah, I guess now I'd love to know a little bit about your experience in quarantine this past year. Kind of how that's changed because your album came out like right when that started. And
Yeah.
I'd just love to know like how you've been staying connected with fans over this time and what you're looking forward to as things kind of go back to normal.
Staying connected with fans just, through social media and there were a lot of virtual concerts happening in the beginning. I kind of got tired of that.
Yeah.
But I did them. And then I did my own that I directed myself. And that I felt like that was kind of like my moment in the latter half of 2020 to like really connect to fans again. Around the time of Cape God release, pandemic had started in Asia, but people here still weren't really taking it seriously. So I did have like 2 or 3 weeks of a normal release, which was that was really, it's always really fun when you release an album. I kind of had a dry spell with writing when the pandemic started. I just stopped for a bit and then actually went to back to Canada this summer. Then I started producing again, which was something I hadn't done in a while, and that got me really inspired and excited about making my next record. And so that's kind of what I've been up to, among other random creative things, mostly to do with like renovating my condo. Been
So
doing a lot of that. I built a ceiling closet.
nice.
But yeah, it's been weird. It's been good. I've for me personally, I've enjoyed having like time to reflect and sort of organize my life.
Yeah. I felt like that the first couple months, and now I'm like, I just want to be around people again. But
Yeah.
I definitely felt that the first month or two, because I was in college at the time, and I was like, oh, this is kind of a nice break. Like I don't have to be on
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah, I definitely understand that. It's nice to take a break, but now I'm like, all right, that's enough of a break.
I think a
But
lot of people are feeling like that. Yeah.
yeah. What does 2021 have in store for you then? I know things are very uncertain, but if you have any like short-term goals or projects that you're working on, you obviously don't have to tell any secrets, but if you have any that you'd like to
Yeah,
share.
I've got a few things up my sleeve. But yeah, it's I kind of see this mostly as time to just write the next body of work and do it really well. And yeah, I think I'll probably just have another year similar to last year where I just keep things more low key, less stressful. Probably go back to Canada again in the summer. I'm just enjoying nature, going for a lot of hikes. Yeah, more work on my interior decoration side. I'm really like, it's so weird because I have been such a workaholic and so ambitious with like all these huge goals every year. And since the pandemic started, I've just been like letting things flow and not putting pressure on me, and life keeps going, and I keep making a living and I keep growing my project. And like I kind of realized like, girl, you don't have to be so intense about everything all the time. So that's kind of where I'm at right
Yeah.
now.
Good lesson for me too. I need to take that advice. Definitely a workaholic.
Yeah, I mean, I love, and I still keep myself really, really busy, but it's just in terms of the actual like saying yes to every session, every writing session, like I would have, or saying yes to every opportunity to like be seen online somewhere. It's just like, why I don't feel the need.
Yeah. No, I will take that advice now. Uh, so I have some fan questions for you.
Okay.
The first one is, which of your albums do you believe shares the most insight about you as a person?
Cape God.
I love
Yeah.
that album. I just must say, I love
Thank
that album.
you.
The creative direction, I was just gonna say, of that album, I was obsessed. The photo shoots, obviously, you and Iris Van Herpen, I was obsessed. So,
Bit of a fashion nerd there, huh?
yes.
Yeah, I'm really proud of my creative direction for that record. It was truly like I always creative direct, but with Cape God, I really felt like because we had to shoot all of it in nature, like it was more complicated than usual. It's not like a one-day thing in a studio in LA or whatever. And yeah, I feel proud, like I made it happen. Cape God is definitely the most personal. I don't think it was until this point in my life that I felt comfortable telling the story of me as a teenager. I wasn't ready. And I mean, the most painful things that happen to us are really the ones that carve us into who we are. That's what I believe. And so I think, yeah, that time was very, important in who I am now, and therefore telling that story definitely reveals a lot about just like, who I am.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And being a teenager is just like the worst.
Yeah, I mean, you're not too far out of that time. It's like a distant memory for me, but yeah, like still so visceral.
Now I feel like if you like think about it for too long, you're like, oh, I'm right back in it. So anyways, but I kind of miss being a teen too. I feel like right now, at least like on TikTok, I don't know. I was a teen like in 2014. I was a freshman in high school, 2013. And I feel like that era, like Tumblr, black and white, like it's all getting like romanticized now. I'm like, this is really weird. Like, I don't feel like I'm that old to be like.
I know. I remember like when that started happening to me in my 20s, and now I'm in my 30s, and I'm just like, I literally am like old now. Like it's like just letting go of the idea that I'm like a youngster.
Oh my God, no.
Like stuff. I look back at photos from high school and I'm like, these literally look like old-fashioned photos.
Oh my God, I'm not ready for that. Like,
yeah.
It's gonna be like the weird, like,
I'm embracing it, but it is, especially as a woman, it's quite a transition to make.
Oh, it's so scary. Okay, so next question. You're definitely an artist known for extremely artistic aesthetic choices, we were just talking about, for your albums. What are some of your major aesthetic inspirations, and what inspirations are you looking at for your next album / era?
Well, I can't reveal too much about that, but I'll give you some hints. I don't know. I mean, I always just save images all the time. The stuff that informed the beginning of my project was definitely like a lot of stuff that I found on Tumblr. I like images that invoke like feelings that sort of contradict each other. So like beauty and revolt at the same time, or like, something that's kind of grotesque, but also glamorous, or something that's like a just a picture of like a moment in time that I don't know, stuff that sort of like just brings up nostalgic feelings and abstract feelings about being alive. That's always kind of like the imagery that I'm drawn to. And of course, just like great fashion moments as well. But yeah, like growing up, I have so many memories of my mom getting so mad at me because I would never smile for a picture. And I used to think I'm so unphotogenic, and like, and as I sort of like discovered my style and like my, I don't know, just kind of like how I fit into my visual world, I've actually become really comfortable in front of the camera. And yeah, it's because I don't have to smile, I don't have to look happy, I don't have to look I get to just express like, I don't know, what's inside of me. So that's been like a cool thing that's happened to me through doing all this visual work. I sound like I have COVID, but I just have something stuck in my throat.
I always bring water because my mouth always dries out when I like record because I get nervous. So I'm like, okay. And then you have done a lot of work with singer Troye Sivan, whether it was working on his debut album or your recent collaboration on Cape God, one of my favorite songs, by the way. Do you have any favorite things that you two have worked on together, or any songs that you haven't shared yet?
Yeah, we definitely have songs that people haven't heard, just because we've written so much. Love Me Wrong is definitely one of my favorite things we've done. A song called Bite from Blue Neighborhood I really like. Good Side from Bloom I really like. there's only like one or two songs that haven't been that good, and Troye would know exactly which ones I'm talking about because we just like make fun of them. But yeah, it's always fun. It's always pretty quality, the stuff we make together with Leland and
Yeah.
Graham.
Yeah, Love Me Wrong was gorgeous. And I love The Good Side. I don't think I realized that you helped work on that one, but I love that song.
Yeah, it's a really special song.
And then I have another question. What was it like working with Mitski on Susie Save Your Love? How did the collaboration come about?
It came about because I was with my friend Nate Campany, who's a writer, and he referenced Mitski, and I was like, Mitski, who's that? I've never heard of her. And he played American, is it called American, Your American Girl?
Yeah, Your Best American Girl.
Your Best American Girl. He played that for me, and I just flipped out. I was like, this is amazing. Then I started going through her whole discog, like, and I was just listening to Puberty 2 over and over. And yeah, so I had my team reach out, and I actually really didn't expect that she'd want to work with me because I'm like a pop singer, and she's like, I don't know, indie rock, you know, and sometimes there's a feeling about the two crossing over, especially when I heard her work and it was so authentic. I'm like, she's probably going to listen to my stuff and, you know, feel like it's not for her. But I was wrong. She already, I think she already knew me or knew of me. And yeah, so we ended up doing a session with Nate Campany and Kyle Shearer, and we wrote Susie Save Your Love that day. It was our first session.
Wow.
And Mitski and I like both were so excited about it. She wasn't going to feature on it. I asked her if she wanted to, and she's like, oh, I love it, but I don't do features. And then a couple months later, she came back and was like, is the offer still there? And I was like, of course.
Wow.
And so, yeah, I was thrilled.
Yeah, that's amazing. Is Puberty 2 your favorite like project of hers?
I think so. They're all amazing, but that one, I bet on Losing Dogs is just like,
yeah. No, so many of her songs are just like a knife to the heart. Like it's
yeah, she's really good at knife to the heart stuff.
Yeah. But that's really cool. I can't believe like the first day you guys like wrote together. That was the song that came about. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was magic. And we ended up writing 3 more songs together, which no one's heard them. They were all pretty good too.
Maybe someday.
Maybe someday.
Okay. And then I watched a couple of your interviews, so I know you get this question a lot, but you have a big LGBTQ following and fan base.
I do?
Yes. At least all the people I know who love when did you first notice that you were popular among this demographic, and what does it mean to you as an ally?
I noticed I was popular among the demographic 15 years before the Allie X project came out. Yeah, like the gays have just always been my friends, my best friends.
Yeah.
They literally got me through like high school while I was being bullied / ignored by all straight males. And I went to musical theater college, so of course, like I had so many gay friends there, and then within the theater industry when I did that for a couple of years. Yeah, so I don't know. Basically what I'm saying is like it existed before I even started making music, and it just makes sense to me that my demographic would be queer, because that's just kind of where I've always fit in, probably just like what energy I project. Yeah.
The gays like good music, so I mean, like,
Yeah.
it's just what you attract. Okay, and if you could choose 3 words to describe the music you're currently working on, what would you pick?
Synthesizer, Giorgio Moroder. That's not a word, but it's a person. And New Order, which is also a band.
Interesting. And then I have one more question. What is your biggest fear?
I mean, I think I think we're all really scared of dying, even though we don't think about it. Like we think we're invincible.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think about death very much, but that's probably my deepest fear, and I don't even realize it. I think not being heard is really hard for me. I'm so glad that I get to do what I do, because I feel like I really need to be heard and acknowledged. And I think that's what was so hard about like some of the times during my adolescence, is like I had so much to say, and I felt like I was being ignored or belittled. And yeah, so like it's not, I'm not saying like I need to be like famous, but I really need to be heard. I need people to know how I feel about things, and not having that sounds like kind of a it would be really difficult for me to go on without that.
Yeah. Sounds like a very Leo fear.
Oh my God, I was gonna say that. I'm such a Leo in that sense. Yeah.
I'm like a Leo rising, so
Okay.
I can relate. I definitely have my moments where I'm like, attention and like
Yeah, I am attention seeking for sure.
so at least I can relate.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I have a little song association game where I just ask a question and you answer with a song that comes to mind. Um,
Okay.
Name a song that inspired you to start writing songs.
Maybe like Mushaboom by Feist.
Feist. What is your go-to karaoke song?
Oh, The Power of Love, Celine Dion. I kill that one.
I would love to hear that. What is your most played song from last year? I don't know if you know, like through your Spotify Wrapped or whatever, but what would you say?
Definitely the Smith song. I think it's called, yeah, How Soon Is Now.
Name a song from your discography that you think is underrated.
Alexandra.
And what is one of your all-time favorite songs? I feel like that's the hardest one, but
Dancing Queen by ABBA.
so good. My friends and I have been on like an ABBA kick. We're like, they just have so many classics.
They're really good. Yeah.
And then the last thing I have is just a current favorites. I like to plug if you have a current favorite song or artist that you've been into, feel free to plug them and promote them a little bit. So, do you have any that you've been listening to?
Yeah. There's this artist called, I just have to look up her name to make sure I'm going to pronounce it right. Alice Longyu Gao.
Yes,
She
I
has a
think
song called Scam. So good. Scam, scam, scam. You are a scam.
I love her. I saw her DJ once at like an event and she was playing like such great songs, like the best DJ I've seen. And I was like, I loved her. And then when she started putting out like her actual music, I was like, this is iconic. So I can
Yeah, she DJ, there's a party in LA called Heaven that I do
Mhm.
sometimes, and I think I met her there. But I only listened to her music recently, and I was like, wow, this is great.
It's just like it's so like funny. Like I feel like she brings like such humor into her songs too. Which
Yeah.
I love. Honestly, I think my honestly Glam is one of my favorite songs right now.
It's
Like
definitely, I'm glad I put it out. It was sitting in the archives for too long.
yes.
Yeah, I can't believe I didn't even, I like that was on the list for collection one, then I decided not to release it, and I should have. It's a bop.
Yeah, what was your like draw to release it? I know you've done that before releasing like older songs later on. What do you find like fulfilling about that to release some songs from the archive?
Well, I mean, with a lot of other songs that you're probably thinking of, like I always knew they just they'd be right for some album at some point. And with Glam, it wasn't really that. It's actually like that I put this special edition of collection one and two out that has a bunch of songs that leaked. I just had this sort of realization. I was like, all my fucking songs have leaked. Like I might as well put them out, like at least in some form. So that was my thinking behind that. And then because they were out on physical, I was like, I should do a digital release of one of them, and Glam just felt like the right one. Just like I feel like everyone needs like a little fantasy and a little pick me up right now, so it felt appropriate. And it also feels like reflective because I wrote it when I first came to LA before I'd even put anything out as Allie X, and it really just sort of like embodies that moment of like a singer arriving to LA and like trying to make it. And
Yeah,
I'm at such a different place now. It was kind of cool, like putting that out and reflecting on that.
it's so fun. And yeah, I don't know if you're planning on restocking that vinyl, but I didn't get to get one, and I'll speak to the fans who didn't get to get one.
Yeah, I will at some point. Yeah, we get it printed in small batches because you
Yeah,
just, I mean, I'm not a huge artist, so you don't know, but they sold out so quick. Yeah, I'll do another one at some point.
Hooray, the fans will be happy to hear that.
Yes.
Because I see your replies. I know people are like, please restock. So I was like, let me plug that.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, other than that, I mean, Rebecca Black just put out a remix for Friday, which I think is hilarious and
Oh,
amazing.
she did? I saw that she put out a new song. I didn't know there was a remix for Friday.
Yeah,
That's
because
amazing.
it was like the 10-year anniversary, I think today as we're filming this, it's the 10-year anniversary of it.
Wow.
Crazy because I genuinely unironically loved that song when I was a kid.
You unironically loved
Oh
it?
yeah, I was
That's
like,
so
this is
cool.
great.
Good for you.
And so I loved it. And
I remember I was like teaching voice lessons at the time. That was like my job to get by. And my students came in and was like, "You have to see this song." And I was like, "This is amazing." So good.
but yeah, like Dorian Electra's on it and 303 and Big Frida and Dylan Brady produces it. It's just such a great they turned
That's
it into
amazing.
a hyper pop song. It's so funny.
I love Dorian.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with it. So
Ugh.
if you haven't checked that out, check it out.
I will.
Okay, yeah, so I think that's everything. So with that being said, please stream Glam, everyone who's listening, and Cape God and the rest of Allie X's discography because it's immaculate. And
Thank you.
yes, of
Immaculate.
course. And where can we find you on social media? I believe it's Allie X on Instagram and Twitter, and on TikTok, I am Allie X, right?
Yeah, but I'm not active on TikTok, but I'm gonna try to be. So follow me everywhere, guys.
Your song went viral on there though, didn't it? At least
Yeah, yeah. I figured like the song's viral, like I'll just sit back and
yeah.
it's
I love
so much work doing TikToks.
I know. I say it every time. I'm like, I have TikTok. Like I'll go on like my For You page. I get such chaotic videos on my For You page. I don't know who they think I am, but it's always funny, so I don't really care. But um I never make TikToks, so I'm like, it looks like way too much for me. You like get lucky the first
It's a lot. Yeah, like trying to learn all those dances.
yeah, or the trends. Like, it's
There
just
was a time during the beginning of the pandemic, I was like, all right, I'm gonna buckle down and do this TikTok thing. And then after a week, I was like, I don't want it. I'd rather do things in real life.
I do love that like songs that have been out for years are like coming back into like popularity because of
Yeah, no, I mean for the music industry, TikTok is like the most important thing right
yeah.
now. I think music industry is changing so rapidly, and I just picture all the like executives at the major labels like sitting around a huge boardroom table being like, "What are we gonna do about TikTok?" Like they just don't even know what's going on.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, it's so funny. Okay, yes. And with that all being said, you can listen to this episode on Spotify, iTunes. You can watch it on YouTube. You can follow Both Sides of the Barricade on Instagram at Both Sides of the Barricade. You can follow us on Twitter at BSOTB Pod, the acronym and then pod. My Instagram and Twitter are JTaylorLDR. Please follow, subscribe, like, download, rate, comment, all of that. Allie, thank you so much for being on. This is like a dream.
Oh, my pleasure. Yeah, best of luck with the podcast.
Thank you so much. And we'll see you guys next week with another episode. Bye.
Bye.